Welcome everyone to our How to Write a Letter to the Editor. I want to welcome everyone here, and I want to thank first for our co-sponsors for this event, Maryland League of Conservation Voters, New York League of Conservation Voters, the Conservation Voters of PA, and of course our organization, New Jersey League of Conservation Voters. And we are really happy to have this be the second in a series of trainings through our new activist program here at New Jersey LCV. My name is Patty Cronheim, and I am the campaigns director here at New Jersey LCV, and my pronouns are she and her. I live in Hopewell, but I'm in transition to my new home down at the Jersey Shore in Allenhurst, New Jersey, and my favorite summertime activity is surfing. So if you all could take a minute and use the chat and put who you are and your pronouns and where you're from and your favorite summer activity so we can learn something about you, that would be fantastic. And Kai, if you want to bump it to the next slide. Great, thanks. So before we get started, I just want to set some basic ground rules. Make space, take space. If you're someone who is a big talker, maybe like yours truly, then practice your active listening. Michelle's laughing. Practice your active listening. And if you're someone who is shy and maybe doesn't speak as much, well, then you're going to want to maybe step up and try to make yourself be heard, because we want to hear from everyone. And also get on the bike. When you want to get on a bike, do you read a book about how to do it, or a pamphlet, or listen to a podcast? No, you just get on the bike and you have to do it. So please don't worry about falling, because we will catch you. If you fall, we're all here to support each other. So we ask that you just jump in the activities and take a chance, get on the bike. Assume the best of intentions. We're all friends here, and we're all on the same side. We all have the same goals. So let's just remember that we're all really working towards the same wonderful goals. Basic Zoom norms: be ready to share when you're with a partner in a breakout room. Please be ready to share, because your partner really benefits from what you have to say, and vice versa. Be a good listener, and also turn your video on, but mute your mic so we don't have to have any background noise. But we get to see your smiling face. Hopefully smiling face. And then, of course, use the chat feature to ask any questions or to get tech support if you need it. I'll be monitoring the chat, and we'll definitely be responsive if you put things in the chat. So anyway, I'm going to turn it over to Kai and let him take it from here. Take it away, Kai.
Thanks, Patty, and good evening, everyone. It's so nice to see you all. As Patty said, my name is Kai Mateo. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the federal campaign manager for the New Jersey League of Conservation Voters, where I work with Patty and Michelle. I also work with our partner leagues in Maryland, New York, and Pennsylvania. I use he, him pronouns. I'm originally from Oceanside, California, which is north of San Diego, but I now live in Philadelphia. And like Patty, my favorite summer activity is surfing. I wanted to take a few moments tonight to talk a little bit about why we're here and something really critical that's going on in the environmental movement and in Congress right now. So raise your hand on the Zoom. You can use the reaction button, or you can just raise your hand on camera. If you've heard of Build Back Better, is this something you're familiar with? Just raise your hand if you've heard of that. I see some people nodding. Looks like Jill's heard of it. Okay, and for those of you who haven't heard of it, that's perfectly all right. Part of the reason we're here tonight is to let everyone know what's going on. So Build Back Better is part of President Biden's program for helping the country respond to the COVID-19 pandemic and address issues that have been going on in our society for a long time. Specifically, the Build Back Better infrastructure plan, which is currently being negotiated in Congress, is a $4.1 trillion investment in improving all aspects of the country's infrastructure. For folks like us on this call who are concerned with climate change, with the environment, this is a really exciting time. Simply put, Build Back Better has the potential to be the most significant climate investment, the most significant climate action at the federal level ever. What it would mean would be 100% clean energy for our electricity grid, for our transportation sector, for our buildings by 2035. It also would mean the Justice 40. Has anyone here heard of the Justice 40? I see some folks nodding. And I also see some folks shaking their heads. That's totally all right. So the Justice 40 is an environmental justice commitment that would mean that 40% of the benefits of any climate legislation would flow to those Black, brown, and low-income communities that have been most affected by climate change and by the COVID-19 pandemic. The final plank of the Build Back Better agenda that is most important to us at the League of Conservation Voters right now is good green jobs. These are family sustaining jobs in a green economy that would allow people to get back on their feet and participate in the workforce by the millions. Another way to think about the Build Back Better agenda, or one number that always comes to my mind, is 100%. It's about being 100% committed. It's about meeting 100% of the need for climate action. It also means 100% clean energy by 2035. It also means things like 100% of Americans in rural areas get access to broadband internet, or we remove every lead service line in the country. We eliminate 100% of the lead service lines in our country because, of course, there's no safe level of lead in our drinking water. So if I just pause there, I see some folks nodding, I see some folks smiling, but if I just ask by show of hands, who's excited about this? Who wants to see this get done? I see Jill raising her hand. I see, wow, a lot of raised hands, a lot of thumbs up. So cool. I guess we can all go home now. No, of course not. What do we need to do here as environmental activists? What we need to do is we need to make our voices heard. So pretty much everyone on the call just raised their hand and said they wanted to see this get done. That's what we're seeing all across the country. Bold climate action like this is popular. Support is diverse across geography, across racial and ethnic background, across age, across even political party. This is popular across the aisle, but it's not going to get done all by itself. The fossil fuel industry and other groups are pushing back hard on Build Back Better, and we have to make a difference. We have to push back on them. And where they have financial power, we have to push back with people power. And one of the ways we do that is by making our voices heard. A critical way we do that is by speaking up in the press, sharing our letters to the editor. And that's why I'm thrilled to introduce my colleague, my friend, Michelle Peel, the media relations manager at New Jersey LCV, who's going to be teaching us all how to write our letters to the editor and make our voices heard tonight. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Kai. And again, welcome to everyone. I'm so excited to present tonight and talk to you about one of my favorite things to do, which is to write. I'm hoping some of my passion will spill off on you tonight. I especially like writing for New Jersey League of Conservation Voters because I, like you, am concerned about the environment. And it gives me an opportunity to voice what our concerns are, some of the issues that Kai talked about, and to make sure that we mobilize, get people interested, and hopefully are able to impact and have affect change. Of course, what we are hoping you would do after tonight is write about what Kai just talked about, Build Back Better. So let's get to it. Let's go over what we're going to cover. So the topics that we're going to cover are how to decide on a topic, how to research a topic, how to start writing, and how to get your LTE published. So next slide. Thank you, Kai. So I'm sure there are some of you that are thinking, wait a minute, I'm not a writer. And there is no way that I'm going to be able to write a letter to the editor. And some of you may be thinking, they don't want to hear from me. You have all these great opinion columnists. That's who they want to hear from. But I'm here to tell you that's not true. Actually, especially local newspapers do want to hear from you. They want to hear from their readers. And they also want to know what you think about the issues going on in your community. So I'm hoping that after this training tonight, you will get over your fear and you will say, hey, I'm ready to get going. So next slide. How do you get started? You start by doing your research. And if you're like me, that means Google. I love Google. I consider Google to be a great friend. And I remember the days, I'm old enough, let's whisper. I remember going to the library and looking at microfiche. So anyway, I love the fact that you can just go on your computer now and write in a question and there you get your answer. So you decide on what you want to talk about. And so in this case, you go on and say, Build Back Better. And a whole lot of information about Build Back Better is going to come up. How do you research your topic? I just said that Google is your friend. How do you start writing? Well, you start writing by creating an outline. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And how do you get your LTE published? We're going to talk about that. Next slide. From that information that you get, you're able to go on and you're able to see, you know, the details about what is required from the LTE. So when you do that, you know, actually, Kai, go back to that other slide. I'm moving ahead too quickly. Thank you. So when you go on Google, you'll be able to go see what are the requirements for LTE. So for instance, the state newspaper here in New Jersey with the most readers is the Star Ledger. So when I Google and I say, what are the newspaper that I want to write for? I go on, I see Star Ledger, and they actually come up and they tell you what's required, who would you send your LTE to, and also the length of the LTE and how many words it should be. So the average for most papers is about 200 words. It differs from paper to paper, but most are 200. Okay, next slide. Thank you, Kai. Okay. Now, how do you write and how do you get started? What are some of the 4 basic steps? So the first thing you want to do for your LTE is explain the issue and the solution. You want to start off at the top of the LTE saying at the beginning what you're writing about, because you know these days people don't like to read a lot. So if you start talking about something else and make the point of your topic like the 3rd paragraph, you've already lost them. So you start off at the beginning saying, hey, this is what the issue is, and this is what I think the solution is. Then you describe what's happening. You know, climate change is real, there's lots of flooding, and I want something to be done about it. Then you talk about your community, not just about you, but what's happening in your community and why it's not only important to you, but why it should be important to everybody. And then you provide a summary statement that sort of wraps it up and gives a call to action, what you think should happen next. Okay, next slide, Kai, thank you. So we're going to review each one of these steps. And I'm going to ask the volunteers to take turns reading the slides, which basically provide a sample LTE. I don't want you to be shy because I don't want to be the only one talking. So can I have a volunteer to read the first graph here that we see?
I will.
Thank you, Milton.
Okay. Yeah, I am asking our U.S. senators and representatives to support President Biden's Build Back Better plan, which will include infrastructure to help stop flooding and bring good paying jobs to New Jersey.
Okay, so as you can see, that was explaining the issue, what the problem was, and it also gives the solution and what I want to happen. Next slide.
And give it up for Milton for going first. A little hand clap there.
I want a prize, guys. I want a prize now.
All right, you go first. Go on, Michelle.
Okay, who could I get to volunteer to read the next one?
Raise your hand in the chat or
I'll go.
go.
I'll go. New Jersey is experiencing more flooding than ever before due to the increase in storms. The climate change reality means an average A New Jersey homeowner will experience a severe 100-year storm at least once during period of their 30-year mortgage. Some of the words were cut off because of my computer screen, so sorry.
No, that was it. Okay,
Right.
so she described what's happening there. So she went on and talked a little bit more about what actually the issue is for that one. So let's do the next slide. Who can I get to read that one? Who would be our next volunteer?
All right, I saw Lavinia raise her hand. Go unmute yourself, Lavinia, and jump right in.
I live in Hoboken, and while I love the city, within the last 5 years, I've been unable to get home due to flooded streets. And when I arrive home, my basement is flooded. It's become an impossible situation for me and my family.
Wow. Give it up for Lavinia. Great feeling too. And Jill before.
So Lavinia, you described why that issue is important to you and also to your community, the flooding. You can't get to your house. I mean, and then when you do get there, your basement's flooded. So that's a big issue. Who can I have read slide number 4?
Pete Elder. Go for it, Pete.
Hoboken is now experiencing what would have been a 50-year occasional flood every few months. Over the past decades, the city has spent millions of dollars on mitigation measures, but as climate change causes severe weather events, flooding is becoming more frequent.
There you go.
Fantastic.
Okay. And then what about the next one? This is our summary statement, our call to action.
Can I take this? Let me see.
Go for it.
Okay, let me see if I can see this. Okay, I am tired of the flooded streets and basement. It's time to address the issues, climate change, and the increase in flooding, yikes, head on. I'm asking Senator Menendez and Booker and my congressman, name, put in there, and help push the Build Back Better plan over the, yikes, I can't see, finish line and get it to the president's desk. I hope readers will join me in my outreach efforts. The impacts of climate change will hear the real. We can't. Yikes. Wait to take action. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. And this is so small. I'm trying without my glasses and it's very small. I'm sorry.
You did a great job, Christine. Thank you.
I think I missed some words in there. Sorry, folks.
Give it up for all our readers. Yeah.
So anyway, so as you can see, I just spoke from the heart with that. I just wrote that very fast. You know, as a matter of fact, it's just like you're talking to your neighbor and you're explaining to them how you feel about an issue, what's going on. So, you know, you don't have to be Hemingway or Toni Morrison to write a letter to the editor. You know, it's just something that comes from the heart. You show your passion. You share your story. So you explain the issue and the solution, as we said, describe what's happening, tell why the issue is important to your community, and then you provide a summary statement and a call to action so that we'll have impact. And who do you want it to have impact with? Well, you want your community to support the issue along with you, hopefully. You want the decision makers in your town to see it. And you also want your decision makers at the national level who can really do something about it. And at the state level, like the Build Back Better plan. So next, now that you've done that, you've written your LTE. So now you're probably saying, yes, will it get published? And the answer is usually yes. Because as I said, newspapers, especially now, are actually looking for copy. So if you write a good letter to the editor, you're probably going to see it published, you know, with some specific ground rules. You want to make sure that you've written it well, that you've proofread it, and that you probably have somebody else look at it too, a second pair of eyes. You also want to make sure you're not disparaging anybody, you know, their characteristics or them as a person, that you're sticking to issues, but you also can call out, you know, elected officials who you think that aren't doing what you would like them to do to make a situation better. And also too, one of the benefits today is that if you're able to get your letter to the editor published digitally, it can also be shared on social media. So in addition to it being published online or in the newspaper, you can take it and share it with your friends and other people and, you know, really get it going. So now, do you have any questions for me on that? Any questions?
There is one question in the chat, maybe you want to address. Pamela Queen has asked, does a letter to the editor have to be in response to a story covered by a paper, such as a prior story about flooding in an area? Can you just write something that hasn't been covered?
No, you can actually make news yourself. So if there's something in your community that you're concerned about and you feel passionate about it, you can write it. And it does not have to have appeared in the paper previously, although people often do respond to things that have appeared in the paper. But no, you can write a letter to the editor about something that you personally are concerned about, or an organization that you with are concerned about. Any other question?
Can you write on more than one issue on a letter, in a letter?
You can, but I think when you talk about 1 or 2 or 3, 4 issues in a letter that aren't related, you're going to lose impact, right? So for instance, if we start talking about, I can't think, so Build Back Better is so much on my mind. But let's say if I started talking about the auto industry and the closing down of plants for the Build Back Better, it just starts to get confusing. So what you can do is have a topic maybe in 3 points in your letter to the editor that illustrates what you're trying to talk about or supports the main point. But to talk about 2 different topics, people are going to be like, oh, that just doesn't go together. You know, you want to have impact. So I think it loses some of its impact if you do that. Any other questions?
Someone has asked what if there's a conflict of interest? I don't know.
What do you mean by conflict of interest?
Holly, you want to unmute and say what you mean by that?
Yes. I'm considering writing a couple letters on healthcare policy, and it's a conflict of interest with the company that I work with.
So that's going to be interesting because you're going to need to check in with your company if you care and say, hey, I want to write an article that's going to go against, you know, your policy. And I think it will probably depend on your role at your company. You know, I know that Ed always says that we can think and write independently. But that's his, Ed is our executive director at New Jersey LCB.
And we're not HR attorneys, and we don't want to advise anybody about what to do
Thank you, Patty.
in their workplace. So we're not, but I think, you know, as Michelle said, that's, you know, freedom of speech is part of our Constitution. You can write anything you want. Whether there are consequences with where you work, well, that's something that you have to find out on your own or talk to an attorney about.
Yes, Holly. I hope that helped. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Harvey?
Thank you. Will we get copies of your PowerPoint presentation for further reference?
Yes, I'm putting it in the chat.
Terrific, thank you.
Link to it in the chat when it's ready.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. So I'm thinking of organizing like regular letter writing campaigns with some friends, and I'm wondering if we have to worry about wearing our welcome out. Like if we send letters to the editor every week or every month, is that something that people like after a while they just turn off, or is that something that's often welcomed? Or
That can happen, that if they see serial letters on the same topic, they will say, yeah, we don't want to write about that or talk about that right now. But maybe if you have, like you said, different people writing them, and maybe, you know, and do it in different papers and different, you know, venues, so that you're not just writing the same thing to the same paper. Look for different ways to get the word out. But yeah, they can say, hey, you know, we've seen so-and-so, you know, Pete Elder writing about this 5 times. You know, we don't want to publish it. We're looking for other people to publish. So that can happen. Any other questions?
There's one from Christine who says she wonders if her letter to A New Jersey paper will be taken seriously from a New York person. I went through Hurricane Sandy as New Jersey people did, so I wonder if they'll just blow me off. I don't know if that's a pun intended or not, Christine, but if it is, it was pretty good. So can a New York person write to a New Jersey paper?
You can, but why would you do that when you can write to a New York paper? So to answer that, basically, they're interested in people in their area who lives in their area and about local issues that impact them in their community. So if you live in New York, you probably want to look for a New York paper to write to. Does that answer it, Christine?
Okay.
Okay, so just for the sake of time, and feel free
she was saying in combination. Yeah, I think that's what Michelle's saying. Can you use your past experience of New York if you're now in New Jersey and do a combo as a New York, New Jersey resident person?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Christine.
Okay. Okay, so for the sake of time, we're going to move on and we'll take more questions later. But I did want to say that you probably are all thinking now, wow, this is great. I'm done. I'm going to take her PowerPoint presentation and I'm going to think about writing a letter to the editor. But unfortunately, we're going to put you on the spot. So Kai, do you want to go to the next slide? We're going to actually do a writing practice where you're going to have the opportunity to put your skills that you've heard about and learned about to use in breakout groups. And I'm now going to pass it on, and I'm forgetting, is it Kai or Patty who's going to talk about what's happening in these breakout groups, but I'm passing it on now. I think it's Kai.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, it's me. And can we show some appreciation for Michelle for sharing her expertise with us? That was a great presentation. Yes, Michelle, getting so much love. Thank you. Thank you. So as Michelle said, it's practice time. So if you remember at the beginning of the presentation, Patty said one of our ground rules is getting on the bike. And now we're going to get on that bike. And it's okay if you're wobbly. It's okay if you're uncertain. We're going to work together. And you're going to try drafting a letter to the editor, an LTE. So in the chat, I am putting a link to a form. That's the blue text in the chat that just popped up. Go ahead and click on that link. So go ahead and click on that link, and then you should see a purple website, a Google form sheet, automatically pop up on your screen. If that happens, great. Just wait for 10 seconds while we make sure everyone's caught up with you. So go ahead and click on that link. And then if you see the purple Google form, just give me a thumbs up on Zoom so I know we're in the same place. I'm seeing 1 thumbs up, seeing 2, 3. Okay, so if it doesn't pop up automatically, if you don't see that purple website pop up, don't worry about that. You can go to the Zoom chat window, use your mouse to select that blue link, and then copy that into your internet browser. So you might use Google Chrome, you might use Safari on a Mac, you might use Edge if you have a super new PC, or you might use Internet Explorer if you have one that's a little bit older, or you might use something like Firefox. Whatever internet browser you use, copy that blue link into the browser, and then you should be able to click on that and meet us on that purple Google form site. So when you see that purple site, go ahead and fill out the first questions on there. It asks for your name, your phone number, and all the way at the bottom, it'll say next. So once you fill out your name, your phone number, and your basic information, just give us, just raise your hand on the Zoom so we know we're all in the same place. Then we'll get ready to move on. So just let us know when you've filled in your name, your phone number, your zip code, and all that other basic information.
And if you're not on camera, you can go to reactions, click the reactions button on the bottom right, and there's a little raise hand feature. there. You can use that if you're not on camera. But we really encourage everyone to be on camera if you can.
I think I just saw Christine, or I think it was Christine, came off camera to raise their hand. So we have a speed demon, someone who already finished it. Looks like someone else just finished it. This is great. So when you've put in all that information, click next, and then just raise your hand. You'll see, looks like Jill did. Okay, great. See a few more people raising their hands. We're going to go ahead and move on. If you're still working on that, that's perfectly okay. So what's going to happen now is I'm going to open some Zoom breakout rooms. You'll be in a Zoom call just like this, but with one other person who's on the call. So you may know that person. If so, great. Or it might be a chance to meet someone new, in which case, introduce yourself and remember your partner's name. That's going to be important later. So make sure you remember your partner's name. And then you're going to go ahead and get to work. What you'll do is on that Google form, under the page that says your letter to the editor, you're going to take 5 minutes and write your answers to some questions that could serve as a rough draft for your letter to the editor. These are just some ideas to get the juices flowing. So just type for 5 minutes, and then you and your partner are going to give each other feedback. So you'll take turns reading your answers aloud. So one person will read their answers, their partner will listen. When they're done reading, their partner will respond with 2 things. They'll respond with something they thought was really strong. I really like the way you specifically stated the problem, or I really like the way you told that story about your mother that allowed us to see why this matters to you. And then you'll respond with a question, something that you wanted to hear even more about. I'm curious, what do you want your member of Congress to do? What would this change mean in your community? Ask a question. It can be really tempting to try to tell someone their story. Oh, you should do this or you should do that. Resist that urge. Make sure, ask that question. Help them answer and make their own letter to the editor better. Letter to the editor better. And then once you've done that, you'll switch roles. So the second person will read their answers, and then the first person will listen quietly and then give feedback in the same way. Something that you really liked, and then one question you had to make it even better. When you've done that, click next at the bottom of the page. There's one more question to let us know if you want to publish your letter to the editor, and then click submit. And you'll be all done. You'll have about 20 minutes total in the Zoom breakout rooms. I'm putting all those directions in the chat, and we'll also be putting broadcasts on the Zoom screen to let you know how much time you have left. So with that, you all can go ahead and get started. Remember to introduce yourself to your partner, and good luck.
We would like if to nominate your partner. If you heard a really good story, or you think that your person had a really good first draft going, nominate that person. Put their name in the chat, and we will ask that person to participate and share what they wrote. So if you've got somebody you think did a good job, if you had a partner, we're asking you to nominate your partner. All right, I see Milton, Sheila. Okay, so that's 2. Wait for one more, and Jill. Okay, Milton, Sheila, and Jill. Milton, you were nominated first, so we'll let you.
Well, I gotta be honest. I want to hear the question again because we got to talking, and I sent it because I want it published if possible. So I didn't get a chance to rate to confer. So I don't remember exactly what the question was at the particular time when we were talking. So I sent the letter in.
Okay, Kai, you wanna
I can't remember what the question.
restate the.
Yes, absolutely. Let me just pull.
Frame it back.
Okay, hey, Milton, go to your email. It's in your email.
Okay, so Milton. We'll come back to Milton.
Oh,
and
okay.
why don't we start with Sheila? So Milton, give you a chance to.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do I do? Because I'm on the page 3. Do I go back? to find what I did?
Yeah, if you can go
Okay.
back and see what you wrote and what you shared with your partner, what your partner thinks is so terrific.
Because it's saying, I don't want to, I don't know if this is going to blank it out, because when I'm trying to go back, it's saying, do you want to leave page or stay on page?
Yeah, just to be safe, Sheila, if you can, it sounds like you're on the last page there
I
where
am,
it says submit at
yes.
the bottom. Go ahead and
Yeah.
click submit, and then you should get an
Okay.
email copy of your responses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody should be looking. Okay. Everyone should be looking at your email copies. If you
I'll do that.
You get it back. Jill, I'm going to go to you now. You're ready.
Okay. So the question was, how does climate change affect you and your family or your friends?
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, and I'm not going to read word for word, I'm just going to try to paraphrase here. So basically what I said was, I've been a school nurse, recently resigned after 16 and a half years. And what I have seen in the 16 and a half years as a school nurse is the rates of asthma go through the roof in my high school population. In addition, not only have I seen the asthma rates go through the roof, I've also seen the BMIs, body mass indexes, overweight and obesity go through the roof as well. And what my concern is that I live here in Sussex County, farm country, New Jersey, and we're not providing healthy food for our children in the Sussex County schools. We are having trucks that are fueled by gasoline and diesel drive tons and tons of miles from wherever they come from with unhealthy food to drop off unhealthy food while they're idling on school grounds and causing poor air quality. And my concern is, as a nurse, how do we get our rates of asthma in a poor air quality climate when we are having trucks that are being fueled by gasoline or diesel coming into our Sussex County area to drop off unhealthy food that we're not using, that's not being provided by our local farms and farmers. And my other concern is, if we're not providing healthy food to our children, and the unhealthy food is being brought in by trucks that are not, giving us good air quality, how do we change that system? How do we stop paying for, in the Sussex County school system, for example, these poor quality food facilities who are bringing unhealthy food with fossil fuels into our county, when we could be using electric trucks that are charged, for example, with the use of solar? And how do we limit the impact that this is taking on our children? So if we can get healthier food into our children by using local produced farm foods, and have those local produced farm foods bring the healthy food with a quote unquote healthy vehicle that doesn't promote poor air quality, we can hopefully get our asthma rates in our children down, and we can hopefully get our BMI rates in our children down. The problem is that school districts do not want to provide, they want to go with the cheapest food possible. And my concern is that there isn't a concern by the administrators to bring in healthy food by healthy vehicles. And so as a nurse, I see the issues of climate change exacerbating the health issues, the asthma and the BMI issues that I've seen in my high school students. In addition, when we have very poor air quality days, children who are either obese or have asthma or both are not going to want to go outside to exercise and play because it's going to exacerbate their asthma. So that was pretty much my story, if you will.
Thumbs up. Let's give it up for Jill, everybody, because she worked hard on this, and it's a great story. It's a great story. It always moves me. I've heard Jill's story before. She's one of our activists here at New Jersey LCV, and it always moves me. So okay, so now we had Milton was in the offer. Yeah, are you ready to go?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the question was, right, how does climate change impact you, your family, your friends, or your community? Or how would Build Back Better, help you?
Yeah, well, I went straight to the point, and that was The air we breathe is unhealthy. That's factual. And then I just said the future generations will be affected and pay heavy physical, mental, and economic price. Now, everything goes hand in hand with the environment and with the climate. There's global warming. There's so many things out there right now. It's just everything collectively goes together. I love seafood. So when I go get fish now, that's an issue. When I go to get salmon, there's an issue. Where you get the lobster from, et cetera, et cetera. So I have those topics. My family have those topics. Most of my family is from the Northeast. They get seafood and stuff based from Maine. The ones in the North, they get foods closer to the southern portion down the Body Belts. And out Midwest, because of all the fires and all the stuff that's going out there, air with all the fires, in the Midwest, northern Midwest, over to the east, we see all the fires and everything that are burning right now. So it's gonna be a heavy price to pay with that. I try to be short and to the point when it comes to saying anything when it has to do with my family because it's so broad right now. The second question was tell us a story, when specifically and how did you learn to care about climate change? I'm living at a time where we must drink bottled water. I think that's insane, but that's what we have to do right now. We don't even know if the bottled water that we're drinking is healthy or not, but we're getting bottled water. That's the way it's working. The second portion, water systems are contaminated, such as in Detroit, Michigan. That's been going on for years and years. Man is not addressing it at this current time. And when they do, they're doing it basically as piecemeal. If it's happening in Detroit or it's happening in Michigan, it's happening everywhere else because it's not clearly addressing the problem. They're trying to just Band-Aid it up and let people go on. You forget about it, and all of a sudden the issue is not there until another town or another city or state, someone dies or get killed. Now all of a sudden there's a hurrah, hurrah. The Build Back plan should address all that and try to just stifle it all and take care of the problem. The other portion I said to that was our oceans and seas are so toxic that certain fish, salmon, are unhealthy for human consumption. And that is true. It's been proven because a lot of hospitals dump stuff out in the ocean, various parts of it. Oil machinery, all the toxic dumping out there. The explosion that happened out with the drill down there along the Route 1 down the borders down in the southern part there. When that blew up, it contaminated ocean ports down there over into the parishes of Louisiana, which is another issue down there. We have the sands that are erosion down there by Florida, which has to do right now, was in question with the falling of the sister building the other day where there's people that died and they're looking into that particular issue in terms of erosion. They got to test to see if the cement, if they went down, if they're deep enough, the metals they're using, all of that goes together when it comes to the environment. And when it comes to anything to do with global warming or the metals we're using, the concrete we're using, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of that has to do with man itself not addressing climate issues. Could be money, could be politics, or whatever the case may be. But our family and friends are going to pay the price and are paying it right now. And I'm living it right now. So I know my children's going to live with it for a while. The last question was, I think what was the Congressman, how can the Build Back Better plan help? It will address the environment aspects as well as the climate crisis, go hand in hand with the fires in the Northwest and affecting the Midwest as well as the Northwest. I think I already addressed that. What do you want your representative in Congress to do about Build Back Better? Vote yes. Vote yes. This has been going on for years and years, months and months. There's no more time for this. We need to just push it through, get it done, as well as all the other collective things that need to be done. This is the most important issue that's pressing forward, but there's so many that are coupled and suppressed together as William Bob III is addressing right now, as well as John Lewis. But the most important one is Stacey Abrams. She's out there out front pushing forward. It all goes together. So thanks for letting me ramble.
So I just want to say congratulations to Jill and Milton both. They covered just by speaking and in their writing the 4 points we talked about. They identified the issue, They did their research with facts, showed their passion, and then they had a wrap-up statement of what they wanted to happen. So now they've got the initial outline, I would call it the building blocks. So now they can sit down and actually start writing and condense that and put it together like I showed you to do in my 4 slides. So let's hear it again for Milton and Jill.
Yeah, now we got one more. We got Sheila. Did you find your email, Sheila?
I did find it, yes.
Ready to go?
Right.
And I'd like to thank my my partner, Mark, for nominating me, but we really got to chatting a bit, and then all of a sudden we're like, whoa, we really need to write something. So it's kind of, I don't know. It would have been nice to have a little more time, but this is what I have. So how does climate change affect you, your family, and your friends? I wrote, climate change has been threatening the homes of my family, friends, and colleagues. For telling a story, one specifically, and how do you learn about climate change? When I went to a high school reunion in my hometown of Hong Kong, we had a cruise through the Hong Kong harbor, and we learned about all the environmental degradation that had impacted the South China Sea. I came back wanting to do something about that and to help Hong Kong, and then realized, well, you know, I'm living here in New Jersey. I should just live by the axiom, think globally, act locally. So I spent the last 15 years working on how I could better the environment in New Jersey, starting with Maplewood and then going back to school so that I could get a job on a statewide level. So that was what I had for that one. How could Build Back Better help you in your community? Build Back Better could help my local community and the state that I work in by addressing the dire need for upgraded water infrastructure. What do you want your representatives in Congress to do about Build Back Better? I would like my representatives to support the Build Back Better program in order to raise the quality of our water infrastructure and at the same time address the nagging inequities that have plagued many of the communities I work with. So that's what I have.
Excellent. Thank you, Sheila. And you and I work together on these issues.
Right. You know, so yes.
Just to show you never stop working on your writing. And thanks for showing up, Sheila. It's so nice to see you here. All right, Kai.
Yes, just a tech check. Can you see my slides again?
Yeah, I see.
Perfect. Okay.
Cool.
So I just wanted, first of all, to do some thank yous. So first and foremost, can we give it up for Michelle one more time for leading us through this amazing and informative training? We can do the claps, you can do the jazz hands on Zoom, you can show your love in the chat. Thank you, Michelle. Can we also hear it for my partner in crime, my friend Patty, who helped us pull this amazing thing together, Patty Cronheim, running the Activist program in New Jersey. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight and for being a part of this historic federal climate campaign. So give it up for yourselves, everyone. Show your love, show your appreciation for the work you're doing, for the people power you're building. And I want to turn it back over to Patty one more time for our next steps, the next action you can take with us.
Yeah, then absolutely. I just want to give a shout out to Tom Dacko, who's a board member who showed up to support. Thanks, Tom, to all the people who have been activists and gone on to our, taken our activist survey and going to the continuing training, people like Jill, who keep seeming to bring family members, which is just fabulous. Thanks, Jill's mom. And I also want to give a special shout out to one of our partners in work that we do, Marcus Sibley, who is the environmental chair for the state, New Jersey NAACP, and the president of the South Burlington NAACP. I want to thank him for showing up as well. So just, it's really great to see you all, and it's just great to meet new people as well. So thank you all. So our next steps are really exciting. We're going to have another training in 2 weeks, same time, 7 to 8:30. It's on August 5th, and it's going to be about art advocacy. We're calling it an art activism training. We're going to have some artists talk about it. We're going to have exciting art actions in New Jersey all around Build Back Better. So when you see those beautiful iconic images sometimes of like beautiful chalk drawings and things like that, that's the kind of thing we're talking about. And as my daughter, who's an art therapist, always says to me, Mom, everyone is an artist. So don't worry if you're not an artist, if you don't think you're an artist. This is a sort of a presentation we'll be doing with artists to sort of explain what art advocacy is, how you can be involved, how you can support it, do it, and all those great things. Kai has put in the chat the sign up for it, so we'd love for everybody to sign up. And please, this will be on our website under events. You can find it. It will be up. Soon, and you can share it with friends. This should be a really fun training. We're super excited about it. We've been wanting to do art for a while, so this is just really exciting. And the webinar you saw tonight will be on our website soon. You just go to www.njlcv.org. I'll put it in the chat. Maybe Kai, you can put that in the chat. And you go to media. There's a button that says media. You push media, and there will be a drop-down menu that'll say past webinars. And this webinar will be on it. The one we did 2 weeks ago on storytelling will be on it. And that's where you can always find all the trainings we do. So yes, everyone is an artist. So yeah, so thank you all again. And let's just give it up for Michelle for just doing such a wonderful job. And I wish you all a beautiful, blessed, wonderful evening.
And one thing I forgot to mention, sorry, before folks log off, if you said yes in the form that went to the question, do you want to try to publish your LTE? Someone from my team on the federal campaign will reach out to you, and we're going to take that seriously. We're going to try to make your voice heard. Members of Congress are home for their recess in August. They're going to be reading their local papers. They're going to be reading their local news websites, and we want them to be hearing from you. So look out for that. We'll be following up with you, and we're really looking forward to making our voices heard. Thanks again.
See you in 2 weeks. We'll see you.
Terrific. Thank you, Guy.
Thank you.
Have a good evening, guys.
Yep, you too.
Travel safe, folks.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.